plans is from the Trust for Public Land. Oh, sorry, got it. That was
me.
Trust for Public Land created those, and those
Yeah.
are master plans, like you mentioned, from
Right.
yeah, from UGA for Hudson Ferry.
Yeah.
Thomas, you can try to share now.
Oh, you're on.
Yeah, I got my
Okay.
computer's up and running, so I'm good.
Yay.
Is it, wait, select, okay.
Kiosk for very rough design for kiosk at Hudson Ferry. That's kind of what we were thinking about. You can see that. Built like the one that's at Cochrane Mill Park.
Let's see, I'm not.
We see you. We see it.
There's
Okay,
Claire, the list.
But I'm trying to find, I can't, the Zoom window is in the way of me
Stupid
clicking
Zoom.
on. Okay.
Oh,
You
wait,
need to switch to team.
there we go.
Oh,
There
that's-
you are.
that looks great. Now I just need to get in presentation mode.
Okay, is this working or put it in presentation mode?
Yep.
Yeah, we can see it.
Where is,
View up next to edit and file if you press view, I think, or if you press
There you go. Slideshow, I guess, or
up.
slideshow? Okay.
Yeah, there.
yeah. And then you can advance it probably with your
All
arrow.
right, so that was my intro slide. We were thinking, these are our basic goals, helping, obviously y'all already have some maps. So anything we can do to enhance or kind of finalize those or get them in print, we're happy to help with. I do think unifying the look across the parks and even Serenbe is a great idea because I mean, the Serenbe Trail Network is actually expanding. It's expanded quite a bit in the past few years and into a lot of just pure kind of wild natural areas that I think are really nice to get out in. And then encouraging usage. I love Hutchinson Ferry Park, and I feel like I've introduced so many, like almost everybody I've taken out there, even people right here from Serenbe either didn't know it was there or didn't know that you could go past the black fence back there. They saw that as a barrier. So, and then taking them back there, it's almost like this magical, like, oh my God, so just getting people out there. I think, we don't want anything too crazy, but we'd certainly like to encourage usage. And then we were thinking of the pilot project of Hutchinson Ferry, Bear Creek. I don't think I've seen the updated map that you're talking about, Roland. At the one I was looking at, Bear Creek is just kind of like a little cluster on there of kind of symbols. And I was actually thinking of almost like a little site plan for the nature center and the area around it. It could be a call out even of the map that exists. And then maybe eventually Campbellton, that seems like it's pretty small, and I feel like we could probably come up with something for that. Cochrane Mill is already taken care of. Riverlands, I imagine, is probably already taken care of, but anything that we can help with, we're happy to. This is the Hutchinson Ferry plan, the master plan. I think it's aesthetically beautiful, easy to read. It's my favorite look as far as a graphic style. This one's y'all's Campbellton Park map, and I think this is great too. If this is a look, this has the topo lines. I think topo lines are really important. When I'm looking at a map, I like to see topo. And then, this one has the numbering system. I didn't know if everybody likes that. We've looked at some other things I'll bring up here in a second. This is the Riverlands master plan. It's beautiful, but as far as like an on-site trail map, I'm not sure it would read exactly well. You can't really see the trails on there too well. But that is a look if folks really like that we could pursue. And then here's the Cochrane Mill Park map that I have. Looks great. I think, if there was interest, I don't know if there's even room for the scale of this, but like if we could put contours in there, if we could even just graphically draw like some kind of the tree bubbly look. I know it's something simple, but it's something that kind of warms it looks more parky to me when you kind of have a little more green on there. Or we just roll with this and this could be our template too. It's whatever y'all prefer. This is the latest Serenbe Trail map. We're working on updating this. It's kind of a sea of green. There, it's kind of hard to tell scale in my opinion, and the trails are too faint on here. You really kind of have to strain to see the trails. So we're working on our next iteration of this as well. Kind of I think things to consider are definitely topo lines, or maybe topo cross sections. I mean, we could produce that as well. I have a Trimble GPS unit, which is what we've used, and I use Onyx, an app on my phone, a lot too if I'm doing quick work. But and I can create sections in Onyx easily that we could graphically change for copyright reasons, you know, in Adobe. Claire would be able to do that. And then, like, say if you wanted a cross section of the Red Trail at Cochrane Mill, we could have that. You know, mountain bikers, anybody might be interested in that. Color schemes, what does everybody like? And then themes, you've got everything from playful themes to photorealistic, like the Riverlands, or more naturalistic, kind of like this USGS kind of look like Squam Lakes has. That's pretty clean look too. It almost looks like the Cochrane Mill one, just with topo lines on there. And then these are just some examples. You know, notice the one, I like the call out idea for Bear Creek Nature Center, or we just maybe do something for Bear Creek Nature Center separately. I also kind of like the symbol idea. You wouldn't want it to get too cartoony, but something like maybe the beaver pond at Hutchinson Ferry Park, maybe the cluster of trees. I don't know if that's an old home site or what that is, but just some kind of landmark on there graphically, if, you know, could be done.
Mhm.
And then, so the next steps, if we are going to move forward, if we are, you know, with Hutchinson Ferry Park, I think getting with Roland, seeing that map, we may not need to do any ground truthing if it's already mapped. And then kind of thinking about the next steps, because there are some trails out there. For example, the one that kind of goes all the way around the hayfield, it was recently mowed. Is that supposed to be a trail, or is that kind of just something that happened with the mowing? You know, those are the questions that we have if it's okay for us to move forward.
Yeah, like say for that I keep that mowed a perimeter so that it can be walked.
Okay.
So I do that every few weeks. I mow it, and then the city mows it 3 times a year, the bush hogging part. And then I just maintain, you know, a 8-foot wide trail down the middle and around the perimeter. So that's
Okay.
what that is. Yeah.
Are there any plans in the west, like the wooded portion on the west side of the park for any trails?
It's too close to the property line,
Okay.
that's next door. It's very close in there. And there's
Okay.
hunting land there.
I saw
It's
that.
very, very close. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we decided that we would leave that side alone. It is flagged to finish the trail on the east side all the way down to the far end of the property line where it enters the reservoir property. Right at the end there's a lot of woods that follow along there, and it's flagged to finish. That's like the last part. And
Is
then
that
it
part-
would loop back up the road. Yeah.
Okay. Is that part mapped already too?
It's mapped on, it's not print mapped, it's on it's mapped on GPS. I use Gaia GPS, and it's mapped on there. And once it's finished, I'll add that to the existing PDF version of the map. I'll share that with you. I mean, that map, I'll send you a PDF of it and you can see it. That map is also a work in progress. The other map that you mentioned, the one that you pulled up from Cochrane Mill, that's the older map. That's the one I created several years ago.
Okay.
The new map looks, I mean, of course, it looks the same because it's the same trails, but it's a little cleaner, and it covers all of the park, including the nature center on one side. And it's also tied to GPS for an app.
Awesome.
So it's got tags in it. So if you approach like a scene, like, you know, a viewing area, it'll pop up on your phone. That's the idea. It's got wayfinders, so it is numbered. The new map is numbered, with all the forks are numbered, and those are tied to GPS. So, which I would think that would be great at, you know, Serenbe, at the trails there, to do something like that, where you have all your forks and they're all numbered GPS. So if you happen to be following along on a trail app on your phone, you'll know where you are. So
We're actually
Well, and
meeting.
could you send that to Thomas, and maybe to all of us, that latest map? I don't know if we've all got that or not.
yeah, I will. It's the one that Laurie forwarded a few
Uh-huh.
months ago, the final one. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I can mention it in more detail in my brief comments coming up
Good.
about where that's at. So, and Thomas, you'll get an idea of that too, about the progress on that. The map's been out for a while. It's just been delayed because of the new numbering system. We're putting in new posts, new markings. They're putting a lot of trail diamonds in for EMS at Cochrane Mill. So that's a work in progress. But anyway, so really quick, and the Serenbe trails, are those still not open to the public? Are there plans to make any of those, to tie those in? Or is it still kind of private?
It's absolutely public, but we aren't really advertising it as that,
Mhm.
you know, and especially like the new ones out in the farmettes. I mean,
Mhm.
you can totally, there's miles out there now that we've recently just cut that I'm pretty sure Steve and Garney took Lori Searle out there recently, and we're definitely encouraging locals of Watkins and Sardis and others to use that trail network. I
Yeah,
know the vision is definitely connecting through eventually, but I think there are some liability concerns, like as far as actually posting it as a public trail
I see.
network.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
I
remember
want-
there's a
yeah.
lot of signs that say, you know, for residents only. So
Yeah, I walk it every day because I live right here on Watkins Road, adjacent to
okay.
the farmats on
Okay.
Serenbe Road. So I walk the trails every day, and it looks nice.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, help us.
Yeah, see, I used to a lot because I'm only 5 minutes away too, and I used to run them and walk them a lot until the signs went up.
Yeah, actually, I'm going for a walk on the trail actually after this call in.
Oh, how awesome! Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like 2 of those signs left, and they're literally like in the community. Most of the access points, like there's access points on Rock Hill Drive, there's access points on the art farm. All of the art farm 40-acre campus that's under development is going to be entirely public. They're going to
Oh,
have a
how
little,
awesome.
yeah, and I know that's the vision of Steve for sure. And he
Mhm.
really wants to, the idea of being able to walk from Serenbe all the way into Palmetto is kind of a dream, but we are having a meeting with our app people tomorrow, and hoping to integrate our latest GIS data into like an app kind of format, but we haven't thought of it to the extent you're talking about, where like numbering intersections and things. I think that would be huge.
Yep.
All right, so it sounds like mostly Roland and Thomas and Claire need to work together on the Hutchinson Ferry Park map,
I'd love to.
maybe
That'd be
using the
awesome.
Cochrane Mill Park map, the new one, as sort of a maybe a template. If everybody is happy with that plan, we spent a lot of time on it.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any input on that?
Well, I really love the new Cochrane Mill map. I want to say that.
Oh, good. You've hiked with it.
Yes, well, with Roland lately, yes. I've been looking for trouble spots because I don't really know the trails.
That's good. Yeah, those of us who know the trails can't see the trouble
I
spots.
know, that's
True.
my
Yeah.
unique perspective.
Yeah, we've been matching up the GPS coordinates on the trail map with the one online while you walk to see how accurate they are. We did that last night. Yeah, we went for a walk. It was neat. So it's a lot of miles over there. I think it's 23, 22 miles if you include the nature center. It's quite a walk. So yeah.
So the next item on the agenda is the Riverlands Master Plan, but I wonder if we ought to skip ahead, if Dana says we can, and maybe talk about, Roland, you're on there to talk about Hutchinson Ferry Park. Is what you're planning to talk about, is that something that Thomas and Claire need to hear?
Yeah, I was going to mention just the usual stuff about Hudson Ferry, the maintenance.
So I'm guessing that.
Yeah, it wasn't
Can we
anything.
do it out of order? Is that okay?
Yeah. Is that good? Dana? Can we do that?
Yeah, I think that should be fine
Okay, good.
to go ahead and, yeah.
All right. So
Our
Roland, why don't you-
parliamentarian says we
why
can
don't
do
you
that.
go ahead and talk about Hutchinson Ferry Park?
Yeah, and I was
Maybe
gonna, you know,
Mill Park too.
yeah, I was gonna roll them all in there.
Okay.
Because it's also, there's a mention in there about Rico Park too. So anyway, what I was gonna mention about Hudson Ferry in my comments were that just the regular maintenance stuff, there were quite a from the last storms we had over the last couple months, there were a few trees down. One substantial that's finally cleared. I finally got to it in a couple weeks ago and cleared that. I have been mowing over there. I've mowed the trails, cutting stilt grass back to keep the ticks down. And mentioning the beaver ponds right now are pretty awesome. There's at least 6 dams now, all the way to the reservoir in Palmetto, and it's flooded now on both sides of the little walking dam, the little trail there. It's deep on both sides now. And there's fish back in there, which we've never seen before. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. So I'm glad that it's being shared with other people. So, but let's keep it a secret. But anyway, that's what I had to mention about Hudson Ferry Park. I have stalled on the design of the kiosk. I did start it. I just haven't finished it. I've been working really just kind of briefly with Daryl and Robbie on fixing the sign at Rico Park. I have all the supplies for that. I just need to go pick up the paint, and it needs to just be rehabbed. It's got some bird damage. There's some nests in it. I think that's primarily what happened to it. Looks like woodpeckers got in it and tore a hole in it. So hopefully getting that fixed before the next meeting. Anybody wants to volunteer to help put that up would be welcome whenever we get ready. And then at Cochrane Mill, I did send Kane at Full Glass Labs the 1 quadrant of the park, the GPS coordinates, to see if that was going to work for him, the way I exported the GPS out. In GPX format, I think is what I sent him, but I haven't heard back, Diana. It's been a couple of weeks. I sent him another email this morning as to whether he got my email.
Yeah.
Because I finished I had to remap all of that. The maps we got back from Ken, I couldn't use them without buying the program. And I looked into that, and it's very expensive, several $1,000s. So I didn't want to spend
So you
that.
had to get all new
Yeah,
GPS
all new
maps.
GPS coordinates to do the online map, and I had to add all the wayfinders, you know, back on it. But that is complete.
Wow, that's a huge job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
actually, I'll share my screen really quick. It's
good.
open on the website. It's public, believe it or not, because it's Gaia GPS. It's part of Cochrane Mill. Ken had actually mapped the trails on Gaia GPS, or uploaded them there, and they're very accurate. So they were kind of there, and some alternates. Let me share this really quick. Hopefully you can see my screen. I don't know. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is what the phone version would look like. As you can see, it's got all the wayfinders and numbered in. It's got all the other icons that we have on the regular map, including the camping. And then up, it's got Bear Creek, as I mentioned. The trail system through Bear Creek is up here. That's in, along with property line markings. So this should match the map, the printed map on the phone, on iPhone and Android, when Full Glass Labs builds that out for us.
That
So,
looks great. And we've got the topo lines too.
yes, yeah, this has the topo line. Actually, in this, they can put topo lines, or they can use satellite. I mean, it's just an overlay on what, I'm not sure what map they're using, what mapping they're using. But they should be able to take the GPX file I sent and just overlay it, and it should work because it's all based on GPS anyway. So,
That is
and I
great.
tested this out with some of it last night on the iPhone, and it's very close when you walk. I mean, the items do pop up, like, you know, wetlands, things like that, and that's just standard map icons. They're not anything specific. So,
Oh, that's wonderful.
yep. So I have not finished the numbering system. I'm probably going to reach out again, maybe to Chris again, if you're interested. I do need some help with that, finishing that up.
Yes, just let me know when.
Yeah, because we're missing a lot more Carsonite posts. I wanted to mention that from vandals than we've ever had. I picked up another 2 or 3 over the last couple of weeks that were broken off. And I mean, everybody knows those things are expensive and they're very difficult to install. And it's frustrating to see people abuse that stuff like that. I wish they understood it was volunteers that maintained and installed that stuff, but I guess that's just the way people are. So if anybody has any questions about the project or anything, I'm open.
Questions?
Anything?
Anyone?
I can assist you too, Roland, when you decide you want to do the Rico Park initiative.
Oh, you will. Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna start in the next couple of weeks painting it, and then you know, the install. You know, I mean, it'll take some work to do that. Daryl's gonna help with his crew, or they'll install it, but you know, we could always use volunteers. So
Sure.
yeah,
Just let me know. My son is here to put him to work over the summer.
Oh,
so.
great. That'd be
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
All right,
else.
that sounds great. All right, so we'll talk now about Riverlands Park, and Thomas and Claire, you are welcome to stay. I think you probably find this interesting. Robbie, can you put up those plans that TPL sent us for Riverlands between the river and
Yes.
Cascade, no.
Cascade Palmetto or
Hamilton Redwine.
Hamilton
Riverlands between the river
Redwine.
and
Yeah.
Hamilton Redwine Road. Here we go. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So I think you all got emails with this information in it, but the first
Mhm.
page just shows where it is located. And you know, what makes that park so good is that it's where the river comes closest to the road. And so it's not so hard to get to. Robbie, show us the next page.
Sure.
Ah,
There we go. Oh, good. Okay. So you remember last time they had questions about where should the entrance drive be? And we
Mhm.
told them, Roland and I went out and looked at it. Daryl and I looked at it. We told them what we recommended. And they went with our recommendation. And where the parking lot is, you can see that's just beyond the pipeline easement. And that was our recommendation too. And then they changed the pavilion and comfort station as we suggested. You remember we were concerned that the other location blocked the river and it was oriented towards the field, and the picnic area was towards the field. And we said, we think people are going to want to look at the river rather than the field. And so they did change that as we recommended. And Daryl and I were out there and talked to them, and they showed us how exactly where that was going to be. And so I think this is good. I think this is just what we had asked for. Are there any comments or questions about this?
Is it done? Is it ready that we could go back, proceed with looking at where an ADA trail?
Yes,
ramp
I think
might
so,
go?
because they submitted this for permitting. So I think this is it. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So
you
good.
could use this
That's
to
awesome.
figure out about your trail.
Yeah, so we'll just, if that's okay, I'll see if I can't talk to Mountain Bike Atlanta, Brett, and see if they're interested in doing a walk, you know, and make suggestions on that.
so is the parking lot flagged out there?
I don't think so, but I haven't
Okay.
been there lately.
I went by there Sunday on my bike, and I stopped and I didn't see any activity. So I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And the grass is a little too high to walk back there too without getting ticks on you.
Yeah, yeah.
Other questions and comments about this?
No, this looks great. Do they anticipate? I know that they've submitted for permits. Does that take another year probably to get approval, you think?
Well,
Dinah?
I don't think it will take that long. I hope not. You know, when you get a grant like this was a Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Grant. You got 2 years from the time you get the grant to finish. And so I'm pretty sure their deadline is June of 2024. So they've got 1 more year to finish everything.
Oh, wow.
So,
So it's going to start moving
permitting,
along.
let's hope permitting doesn't take so long. Other questions and comments?
The location of the campsites. I'm sure Daryl will help or somebody will help with that, but what are they showing? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and one up top, 6. Is that how many they plan to have? Do you know?
I think
There
there
were-
were more than that.
Yeah, there were more flags than that when we were out
Okay.
there. We noticed. Maybe those are the larger like fire pits, or I don't know. Maybe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the larger fire pits were gonna be like downstream.
Yeah, I thought so
from
too.
From the
Yeah, I think the fire pit's near the boat ramp.
boat ramp.
Oh,
So-
okay. So it's
so-
just not indicated on there. I see.
Yeah.
Do
I
do
think they have
do-
more than 6 campsites.
Are they
Yeah.
going to, can I ask a question about like those campsites for, especially for maintenance? Are they going to make it where it's accessible via like Daryl, you know, their crew, the city crew to get to those to, you know, like they do at Cocker Mill, you know, they can drive past them and, you know, check for trash, you know, mow it, stuff like that. There a trail or
So
something?
the sites are up the hill from the river because you don't want them to get
Yep.
flooded. But there's that old roadbed along the river that perhaps Daryl's crew could travel along.
On a, like a
if
like
they
on the
needed to.
UTV or something, on an
Yeah.
RTV or
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd want to walk that, because I remember the days when those trash cans were back in Cocker Mill and they had to walk back there. And that was a pain. So,
all right. Any other comments about this? All right, then Robbie, can you show us the, I think they're calling it the Riverlands expansion, and by that they mean the part of the park that is not on the side of the river. It's on the other side of Camilton Red Wine Road. So that would be the east side. And this, what you're looking at now is what Trust for Public Land is funding. They will make those improvements and pay for them. And then on the other side, it's up to us. It's up to the city to implement those plans. But I think the mayor managed to get Pond to do that for us. You remember a little over a year ago, we had a big meeting at that park. We invited the community to come and tell us what they'd like to see in that park. And based on those suggestions, Pond created this master plan.
I'm not sure. I emailed it to myself, at least I thought
yeah,
I
I
did.
saw a copy. I think you emailed it to, it was in your email, Diana.
Yeah, I emailed it to everybody, but I thought.
You want me to pull it up on the screen?
Yeah, if you,
If
is
you
that
have
okay?
it, I'm looking at it too, but you.
Oh,
can-
okay. I was gonna say either way.
No, go ahead. You get it quicker because I'm trying to,
Yeah.
oh, that's the finances. I have the.
Oh, you don't want to pull that. Here, let's see. Master
emailed
plans.
it
I got
to
it right
myself.
here. One attachment. I've got it open. I'm just gonna make sure it's right before I share it. Is that the right one? Is it 2 pages or something?
It's,
Oh, I think it's more like 5 pages.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it is. So it's 5 pages. All right, I can share my screen. Let's see. Is that what we were talking about?
There's
We're not
nothing there yet.
We're just saying,
Oh, duh. I
gallery.
didn't hit the share.
Here we go.
The share
That's
button.
it.
yeah,
That's it.
That's it. You zoom
That's-
in if you want. I might be able to zoom in a little more.
All right, so on this first page,
This-
mostly they're showing flood areas. Can
Yeah.
Roland, can you expand it a little bit so we can see what the different colors mean?
Yeah. Let me see. I think I'm gonna just open it in, let me open it really quick in Acrobat. I think I'm opening it in, hold on, let's see, CMB print Mac, new Riverlands expansion mask. I'm gonna open it in Acrobat because I'm opening it in Google Sheets. It's harder to control it. Here we go. Let me reshare this. New share. There. Okay. No, I don't want to improve it.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that shows everything. All right, any comments or questions about this?
Did Donna, did you have another map that had like the potential the more like the master plan map?
So if you scroll down through this, there's 5 of them.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
there
go.
you go.
Yep, there it is.
Perfect.
Got it. Okay, that's like the trail system proposed. So this is really rough, right? This is just something
Yes,
they,
it's very general, right? It's very general.
okay.
But that's the trail system proposed. And then the next one has a lot more included. There you
Oh,
go.
wow, it does.
Lot. I think they put everything in that anybody asked for.
Oh, yeah. they sure-
So it's
Wow.
got the equestrian things, it's got fields for play, it's got parking, which is good. It's got disc golf course.
Oh, it's got the disc golf. It's gonna have to have an entire maintenance crew just dedicated to that part.
Well, I think it's just, I mean, these are potential elements. And
Yeah.
it's gonna sort of, don't you think, depend on what people really think they want, you know?
Kind of like what we
Yes.
did at Hudson
Yes.
Ferry Park.
Yeah.
Right.
So there may ultimately be like, 5 tiers of priority or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like trails first, parking probably first, trails, comfort station, I don't know what.
Is there any potential for trails, obviously, in the, the road, like the old road that we took that goes into that sort of into the edge of that White Oak Creek wetland area? It's from on the higher
And you
ground.
can see they have trails that kind of follow it.
I'm
Close.
not, it's hard to see. Oh, the brown, there are trails. I'm trying
Yes,
See, here's the
yes.
trails. Yeah, you see that?
Oh,
Those
okay,
little-
the brown is trails. I thought there was delineating zones of something or other. So they
No,
actually
those are
have a trail
trails.
right along the creek. Wow, that's,
Yeah, loop.
yeah.
So there's nothing
would
that
require
actually
boardwalk.
nothing crosses the creek. There's like 2 access points,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably good because you probably don't want people
No,
walking up the creek.
no. And when we walked it all together before, we stayed on this side of the creek.
Yes,
The,
we did.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Actually, we
north
were
side.
where all those topo lines are.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were mainly in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not exactly confident at all about the crossing there of that wetland or, if you.
Well,
if
it
you go
looks
down
like
to
they
that,
have
it's
it set, Clifford, to not cross it, but to loop around it, entering it from Camelton Red Wine. See that little gray loop? I'm
Yep.
assuming that's what that means, that it's like an entry point that goes around the wetland, like a
It would
loop.
be good to see it'd be great to see, I know this is really busy, but it'd be really helpful to see this over a Google Earth. So I could see where the edges of the fields are and what exactly the brown line from 17 that heads to the southeast, what that actually is doing. I'm not clear where that is relative to the wetland area.
Yeah, you can faintly see it is over a satellite, but it's just faded back. So
Yeah, it's really
I'm-
hard to see.
It's hard to see
Yeah.
sharing it like this. I've got it as big as I can get it on my screen.
Oh, I kind of have intimations. of
Yeah,
that.
and you can, I mean, and granted, the wetlands part, if you recall, is heavily wooded,
Yes.
It's not like open wetlands. It's more like seasonal, right?
Yes and no. I mean, it's seasonal, but it's got I think it'll have water most of the time in
Mhm.
little pools.
Unknown caller.
Little pools. Sorry, my phone is becoming annoying. Little pools and things that probably stay throughout the year. I mean, I would love to, as I said before, I would love to do a lot more study. This to me is one of the crown jewels of our parks, is that wetland that has a lot of native plants and a very little evidence of disturbance in terms of invasive species. It is one of the most ecologically valuable sites along with the bedrock outcrop that we have. So I definitely want whatever trails we put anywhere near it to be very much non-arbitrary and very conscious in terms of what's there. And I would hope that before we do this, we do some sort of ecological assessment using experts that can do that. That's all I ask, is any trails going anywhere in that part of the park need to follow an ecological assessment of the area. Because it's possible we have rare plants down there. There's certainly a couple of beech trees that are well over 100 years old. Which is, and the ground cover is just no invasives. It's fantastic. So I'm glad to see it's relatively undisturbed here. But my other question would be, how do we put trails in that enables people to appreciate it without harming it? And that's going to require ecological study first.
And Clifford, do you know people who can do that?
I have tried. I've reached out, and I will continue to try to reach out. I've reached out to local universities and gotten crickets back, just nothing. And all it takes is one person who's genuinely interested in helping, and this would go very smoothly. But so far, I have yet to find that person. There are wetlands folks at, there's a wetlands program at Carrollton, and you'd think there'd be an interest there. And I think my second strategy is to just contact someone and ask to come visit and talk with them. I think if I can get my foot in the door and actually talk face to face with someone, the problem is that just emailing and saying, would you be interested, doesn't work. Or calling, I called enough messages, no response.
See, Clifford, I would think somebody at either the state park or national park level staff that actually do that in our parks. There would be somebody.
You think,
I would
or
think,
even Nature Conservancy, you'd think they'd have someone that they could send out. And
yeah,
I haven't tried it. I tried reaching out to Malcolm, and he said he doesn't really know anybody, but I could try reaching out directly to the Nature Conservancy or something, because we really just don't know what we have there. But what I've seen suggests what we have is pretty cool. So
Great.
Was that all the pages on that?
No, there's another page, I think. There we go.
Zoom in.
That just shows the active part. So you can see a little bit better. See, the labels are right there rather than just on the side.
Oh, I see.
My biggest concern with the overall use in the rest of the park, meanwhile, is any uses that would involve the applications of chemicals, particularly fertilizer, and whether that's runoff is potentially going to end up in the wetland. So that would be my main concern here, is that whatever uses are liable to require any sort of lawn treatment, yard like disc golf is liable to require treatment, so fertilizer or something. So just being conscious of where that is relative to the wetland and topography.
Good point.
That's a really big concern I have. And again, that goes back to knowing what's there ecologically. If we can establish that there are relatively scarce plants there, then that really will drive. I mean, if not, if it's just like, well, this is a pretty healthy area, then maybe our level of caution could be a little bit lower. But if it's like, no, you have some rare plants, or this is a relatively unharmed example of this ecosystem at the moment, then I do have concerns about that.
And most of the development is going to be outside of that wetland area, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I see that. But even like a dog park, for instance, where is that relative to what's the topography likely to do in terms of the wetlands? So, it looks like at the moment, at least, it looks like it's well up from where that drop is into the wetland. But certainly packed with things. I'm a little puzzled. I guess my other concern there, if I'm going to continue yammering at you, is that whole idea of barn and paddock and horses here. Where are the horses going to go? I'm not comfortable with them necessarily on trails in the wetland. So what trails are going to be for them? And will there be a trail system that's sufficient to justify a barn and paddock in the property?
And Clifford, that's a really good point.
I mean,
Yeah,
I am uptight about that. I mean, I love horses and all, and don't mean to speak ill of them. And good heavens, I know I have dear friends here that love them, and I do too. But you know, I'm not quite convinced that this is the right park for that.
Yeah. Well, Clifford, that's a good point. And I think in this park, there probably aren't enough trails to make it worth having a barn and a paddock for just this park. But if you remember the Chattahoochee Hill Country Regional Greenway Trail, which was a 98-mile trail, and the plans are still out there, not much of it has been developed yet, but you know, there's some talk of maybe developing the trail between Hutchinson Ferry Park and Riverlands Park. And so if that were done, then it might be worth bringing a horse to this park to ride that trail. That would be long enough to make it worthwhile.
Yep.
And
I'd
of
also
course,
be
we won't
equally-
build it if we don't need it.
And I'm equally concerned about that RV campground, because I think of RVers, what are they going to be doing at this park? You know, I guess the huge RV and disc golf continue to travel the countryside playing disc golf, maybe. And I see there's a festival field, so maybe some uses there. But I definitely see some of these uses invite pretty intensive visitors with pretty intensive impacts. And I'm not convinced yet that that's, again, it seems like a high priority to me, at least, is to find out what's ecologically there. We've all identified the large part of the park on this side is ecologically important. And I think it needs to be a priority to get more details on that. And someone who does, I mean, wetlands delineation, any environmental consulting firm will do that, whether you can get one pro bono or not. But that will enable us to delineate the wetlands and clearly indicate the areas that are also off limits for anything based upon that. But it's pretty clear. I mean, it drops down into a bowl and you just stay out of the bowl. But still, there's, you know, I certainly wouldn't want to go very much further than this drawing without that knowledge.
Just keep in mind that when you start putting RV camps in, you're talking about a lot of underground utilities and a sewer system.
Oh, yeah. Very expensive.
Remember that. I'm going to jump back. I'm going to mute myself again so y'all can communicate.
No, I'm just, boy, this is way over the top. This is
Yeah, and I think this is just like this kind of rough plan, you know, they just,
Yep.
without all, they went by the Post-it note kind of thing that we did, you know, a year ago with everybody's the ideas that were written down, and I think they just put them in there. So again, like the other master plans we've done have a lot of things in it that are there, you know, just as ideas, and then you decide whether you do them or not, you know. So I don't see any of this getting done anytime soon.
No, I'm thinking a lot of it may not even come to pass while we all are still living.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I'm still walking above ground. Maybe I'll get buried out there.
Hey, I'm still young over here, guys. I'm
Oh,
counting
yeah, wait a minute. I always forget. There's
Don't count
young
me out
folks.
just yet.
There's young folks on this meeting.
It's gonna be a project for Chris's kids.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There you go. Roland, is there another page or is that it?
Then, yeah, these sample
Okay.
pictures, you know, the ones that.
Just
I-
photos,
Yeah, we've seen that.
possible
Yeah,
amenities.
last
Any
picture.
comments about those?
yeah, those are kind of those boilerplate pictures. We've all seen those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, that it?
I think that's it, unless there are more comments.
Well, I just really like that, you know, the whole lower half is preserved basically, and there's
Mhm.
not really showing anything going across the creek. So that's all really good. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, I don't know if we've talked yet about the trails and uses, but I would certainly hope that the trails in the wetland areas are not, well, first of all, building them anywhere near that, and that loop on the far side. I'm certainly hope that those are really not mainly bicycle, but mainly footpaths, because.
Yeah, footpaths.
But again, I think that, and I will continue, this is again, unfortunately, this is the same time of year. This time of year when schools or universities are on break, it's hard for me to get a hold of anybody at a university to come out. I could try to reach out to the Nature Conservancy, The one organization I've had some luck with for another reason this week, who got back to me right away, was someone at the Southern Conservation Trust. Now, whether they would send someone out pro bono, knowing it had nothing to do with any of their properties, but they do have an interest in this. They're based in Fayetteville, and they do have an interest in the south side of Atlanta in terms of conservation. Or maybe they'd have some connections somewhere else that would help, but I can reach out to someone there too. I'll keep trying.
That'd be great.
And if I find anybody, I'll let you all know and we'll try to schedule something.
Okay, good. Okay. All right, moving right along. I think the next item is the commission member comments and suggestions. Does anyone have any comments? I just want to remind everybody that the grant workshops for the RTP grant, which we have been talking about applying for, are coming up. And the dates are June 22nd or June 28th. That's a Tuesday and a Wednesday from 9 to 1. And they just sent me a reminder about that. So I'm going to send that to all of you. I'm going to email it to you right now. Okay. So if you want to sign up, I think some of you have already signed up. Pat, I know
I
you
signed up.
haven't you? Yeah.
And there's a comment I was going to make, I almost forgot, coming up on July 13th. I'm looking at my calendar. Wait a minute. It's either the 13th or the 15th, Saturday. 15. They're trying to do it again. It's that wonderful canoe trip. There's still slots open with Riverkeeper that runs from up at Smyrna at the new boat park up there all the way to 166 with a stop on Buzzard Island in the Hooch. If you've never been on Buzzard Island, that's a wonderful trip, sweet trip. It's almost a full day. I think it's 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours in the water, and then a lunch stop at Buzzard Island. So if you go on Chattahoochee.org, last time I checked, there were 12 slots still there, and they still had loaner kayaks. So anybody's interested, it's a fun trip.
Any other comments? All right, staff reports. Dana.
All right, I emailed the financials out to everyone earlier today, and I think Robbie's also got them to share on
There
the
they are.
screen. The annual parking passes for this year to date, we're at $14,236, which is a little bit less than this time last year, but kind of in line there. Parking donations or park pass donations are at $135, down from last year as well. The daily parking fees combined for the cash and credit cards are a little over 83,000, and that's up a little over 11,000 from last year. So it looks like daily parking's up. Park's still getting used a lot. Primitive camping's about the same at $465, and the total parking fee and parks activity fee revenue is $97,983, up a little over 10,000 from last year for everything, and we've still got 1 month to go in this fiscal year. And
Wow.
then parking decals, kind of around the same as this time last year. We've issued 480 resident and 511 non-resident.
Wow.
And
Thank you,
that's all I've
Dana,
got.
thank you for keeping up with all of this and for taking our
Wow.
minutes and for keeping us organized. We appreciate you.
Sure, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, and Daryl, you
Yes,
got anything
ma'am.
for us?
Yeah, real quick. My staff has been working in Cockermouth Park for the last couple of weeks. If you noticed, in the day use area around the pavilion, we've been adding fines, which is fine gravel with gravel filling in, covering up all the roots in that area. We spent all week last week over there working that day use area. And also we had the septic tank had overflowed again or backed up and shut the bathroom down. The good thing about it, I've got enough experience there of what happens and why it happens. So half a day is all we lost of a bathroom.
Wow.
So we took care of that on time, had a A friend of mine that has a septic system that showed up next morning, took care of that. So that's, I guess, a good thing. The bathroom is doing what it's supposed to do. It's just small bathroom, you know,
Yeah,
that's
it's
way,
a lot of business.
that's where it's gonna be. It's okay, but so we are on top of it. Also, the crews have been in there working on the new parking lot. Robbie and I still haven't heard if the tower is 100% done or finished, but we are working on the parking lot, being prepared for when they do say it's done. We can open it up. Chip Dent had sent me a message a while back. He said, I sure am glad that you decided not to open that yet, because there's 6 inches of ruts all in there from their heavy equipment. And I said, yeah, that would have been a waste of money for us to get finished, finalize the parking lot when it's you're still gonna have a heavy traffic in there with them working on it. So, but Greystone Power has donated a bunch of power poles, so we use them to line up the parking lot to keep people from driving off the banks on the edge on the lower part of the parking lot. We'll be continuing working in there a little bit at a time. I can't make any guarantees when it'll be done, but because we have many other things in the city to do, but we are working on it. And then also, if you notice, if you go to the ranger station, the little pathway that we made going to the ranger station, we had fines and all and gravel in there and built that up. So it's easy to step up and down. So we had to build it with steps that eventually would rot. So a lot have been going on in the parks this last month. So, and looking forward. And you remember, ball season ended a couple Saturdays ago, which was a very good success. As always, every year is really, it's a beautiful thing that we have in our city, the way they handle it. And Lila does a good job with that. And I appreciate all the hard work volunteers do for us in the ball season. That's all I have this time.
Great.
The parks look great. I know you've done a lot of mowing in the parks, and it just looks fabulous.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too, Daryl. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, man, in the community. Seriously.
And we followed the plan that y'all decided about no mow May, or whatever. We're at the point we're starting to mow, and like Clifford said, he does take care of the Hudson Ferry, but we try to make sure if we're in that area cutting, we just at least try to make a pass around the outside Hudson Ferry and down the center. But like Roland takes care of that. So if you go out there and the grass is high, that's fine. Whenever our crews go by that area, when they're cutting the right of ways, they'll be cutting them fields now. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Daryl.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If there's nothing else, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. All right. I have a motion. Do I have a second to it?
A second.
All right. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. All right. That
Thank you,
passes. We are
guys.
adjourned at 7:17. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys. Have a
Thomas.
good
Good to
evening.
see you.
Thank you all. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.